Chapter 1. The Darling Children. There was a family called the Darlings. They lived in a nice big house in London. Mr. Darling worked in an office every day, and Mrs. Darling stayed home with the children. She loved them very much. The children were Wendy, John, and Michael. Wendy was 12 years old, clever and kind. John was 10. Michael was the baby of the family. He was only 5. The children slept in one big room at the top of the house. This room was the nursery. It had 3 small beds, a warm fireplace, and many toys on the floor. On cold nights, the fire in the fireplace made the whole room feel safe. The family also had a big dog called Nana. She was not an ordinary dog, because she was the children's nurse. Every morning she took the children to school, and every evening she sat by their beds. She gave them their medicine at the right time. "A dog can't be a nurse," Mr. Darling said sometimes. He felt uncomfortable about it. "Other families don't have dogs as nurses." "Nana is the best nurse in London," Mrs. Darling said. "The children love her." "Other families have real nurses," Mr. Darling said. "People, not dogs." "Our family has Nana," Mrs. Darling said with a smile. "She's perfect." Every night before bed, Mrs. Darling came to the nursery and told the children stories. She sang quiet songs and kissed each child good night. After they fell asleep, she sat by the fireplace and looked at their sleeping faces. She felt very happy in the quiet nursery. One night, something very strange happened. Mrs. Darling was sitting alone by the fire, and the children were sleeping in their beds. The house was quiet and peaceful. Slowly, her eyes closed. When Mrs. Darling opened her eyes again, she saw a boy at the open window. He had a big, bright smile, and he was wearing clothes made of green leaves. A small, bright light was flying around his head. Mrs. Darling jumped up. "Are you a person?" she asked with a shaking voice. The boy did not answer. He turned, flew up into the night sky, and disappeared into the dark. Mrs. Darling ran to the window and looked out. The street below was empty. Then she looked down at the floor. A strange object lay near the window, long and dark and flat. It was a shadow. "The boy lost his shadow," she said to herself. She folded the shadow carefully and put it in a drawer by the window. She did not know what to do with it. A boy's shadow in her drawer made her feel a little uncomfortable. The next morning, Wendy asked about many things at breakfast. "Mother, did something happen last night? I heard a noise at the window." "Yes," Mrs. Darling said slowly. "A boy came to the nursery window." "A boy?" Wendy's eyes grew wide. "What kind of boy?" "A very strange boy. He flew in the air, and he had a tiny light with him." "I know! It's Peter Pan!" Wendy said happily. "He lives in Neverland. All children know about Peter Pan, Mother." "Peter Pan," Mrs. Darling said with a worried frown. "How do you know about him?" "Every child knows Peter Pan," Wendy said. "He never grows up. He lives on a beautiful island with fairies and mermaids and pirates." John looked up from his breakfast. "Pirates? Real pirates?" "Oh yes," Wendy said, "and wild animals and secret places and wonderful things." "I want to go there," Michael said. "Don't be silly, Michael," John said. "You can't fly." "Maybe Peter Pan can teach us," Michael said. "Nobody is going anywhere," Mrs. Darling said firmly. "Eat your breakfast, all of you." "But Mother," Wendy began. "No more talk about Peter Pan," Mrs. Darling said. "Please." The children said nothing more about it in the day. At night, Wendy whispered to John, "He'll come back. I'm sure of it." "How do you know?" John whispered back. "He left his shadow here," Wendy said. "He needs it back." A week later, Mr. and Mrs. Darling prepared to go out for dinner. Mrs. Darling put on her beautiful white dress. Mr. Darling put on his best black suit. He stood in front of the mirror and tried to tie his tie. The tie did not obey him. "I can't tie this tie properly," he said with a frown. "Let me help you," Mrs. Darling said, and she tied it neatly. They went up to the nursery to say goodnight. The children were in their beds, and Nana sat by the fireplace and watched them. "Be good children tonight," Mrs. Darling said, and she kissed each one. "Good night, Mother," the children said. Mr. Darling looked at Nana with a small frown. He still felt uncomfortable about a dog nurse. "The dog stays outside tonight," he said firmly. Then he tied Nana to a rope in the garden. "Please don't do it," Mrs. Darling said. "I feel better when Nana is with the children." "She's a dog, not a person," Mr. Darling said. "The children must learn to sleep alone." They left the house and walked to the dinner party. At the corner of the street, Mrs. Darling looked back at the nursery window one last time. The house looked quiet and peaceful. In the nursery, the children lay in their beds, wide awake. They talked in whispers. Moonlight was shining through the window, and everything looked silver and strange. "Do you really think Peter Pan will come back?" Michael asked in a small, nervous voice. "I know he does," said Wendy. She sat up in bed and looked out the window. "He lost something very important, and he must come back to find it." "Tonight?" John asked. "Will he really come tonight?" "Maybe tonight," said Wendy. She felt sure and brave. "Then we'll go to Neverland with him. We'll see fairies and mermaids and pirates, and we'll have the most wonderful adventure of our lives." Michael felt scared, but also excited. "Will he hurt us?" he asked. "No," said Wendy. "Peter Pan is good and kind. He helps people. He fights evil pirates, and he protects the lost boys." Outside in the garden, Nana pulled at her rope and barked softly. She felt worried about the children. She wanted to sit by the warm fireplace in the nursery, not outside in the cool night air. The night grew darker, and the stars came out. The moon was shining, bright and full, above the empty street. Nothing moved. The children stayed awake. They watched the window and waited for something wonderful to happen. And something did happen. Peter Pan came back for his shadow, and after this night, life in the Darling house was never the same again. Chapter 2. Peter Pan and Tinker Bell. The nursery was dark and quiet after Mr. and Mrs. Darling left. The children waited and waited for Peter Pan, but at last their eyes closed and they fell asleep. Outside in the garden, Nana was pulling at her rope. She felt that something was wrong. The nursery window opened slowly, and a boy flew inside. It was Peter Pan. He had brown hair and bright eyes, and he was wearing clothes made of green leaves. He carried a small knife on his belt. Behind him flew a tiny light. It was moving quickly around the room. The light was Tinker Bell, a fairy. She was no bigger than a hand, and she had tiny wings like a butterfly. She wore a dress made of golden light. Her voice sounded like little bells. Peter Pan did not see the children. He looked for his shadow in the corners of the room, under the beds and by the window. He did not find it. Then he began to cry. His bright smile went away. He sat on the floor and cried like a baby. "I can't find my shadow," he said sadly. "It's lost, and I'm lost without it." Wendy woke up and heard the boy crying. She sat up in bed and saw him. She saw the little light too. She was not afraid, only very curious. "Why are you crying?" Wendy asked in a soft, kind voice. Peter Pan jumped up in surprise and asked, "Are you a person?" "I'm Wendy, and this is my room. Why are you crying?" "My shadow is lost," Peter said in a sad voice. "I can't find it anywhere. A shadow can't leave a person. It must stay with you always." "I know where your shadow is," Wendy said. She got out of bed and went to the drawer by the window. "I have it here." She opened the drawer, took out the shadow and showed it to Peter Pan. Peter Pan felt very happy. "You have my shadow! Thank you! Thank you!" he cried. He held the shadow against his body, but it did not stay. It fell to the ground and lay there by his feet, flat and useless. Peter Pan began to cry again. "It doesn't come back on," he said. "My shadow doesn't want me. It doesn't love me anymore." Wendy felt sorry for him. "I can sew it back on with a needle and thread," she said. "Can you really?" Peter asked, and his eyes grew bright again. "You can do magic." Wendy got her needle and thread and sat next to Peter Pan. She began to sew his shadow to his feet. She sewed carefully and made small, neat stitches while Peter Pan watched her work in silence. When she finished, his shadow was back. It moved when Peter moved, and it danced when Peter danced. Peter Pan jumped up and down with joy. "You're wonderful!" he cried. "You can do magic. You're the best girl in the world." "It's not magic," Wendy said with a smile. "It's just sewing. I sew things for my brothers all the time." "For me, it's magic," said Peter Pan. Then Peter Pan looked at Wendy, at John, and at Michael. He saw that the children were all awake now. "Come with me," Peter Pan said. "Come to Neverland. I'm alone there and I need a friend. The lost boys need a mother. They have no parents and they need a mother very much." "We can't go to Neverland," Wendy said. "It's far away and we can't fly." "I can teach you how to fly," said Peter Pan. "First, you need a happy thought. Think of the thing you love most in the world. Think about it with all your heart." "What is a happy thought?" Michael asked from his bed. "Something you love," said Peter Pan. "Something special. It makes you smile and it makes you feel good inside." John sat up in his bed and felt excited. "I can really fly?" "Yes," said Peter Pan. "If you have a happy thought and some fairy dust, you can fly. Tinker Bell has the fairy dust." Tinker Bell sparkled with light. She scattered golden dust around the room, and it fell on the children like snow. It scattered over their hair and their shoulders. "Now think of your happy thought," said Peter Pan. "Think and think and think." Wendy thought of her mother. John thought of adventure. And Michael thought of his favourite toy. "Now jump as high as you can," said Peter Pan. John jumped, and he did not fall. He was floating in the air. He moved his arms and went up and down. He flew. "I'm flying!" John cried. "I'm really flying!" Wendy jumped next and flew all the way up to the ceiling. She touched it with her hand and laughed. She floated there and felt light as a bird. She felt so free. Michael jumped too. At first he felt afraid, but then he felt safe. He flew around the room with the others. "We're flying!" all three children cried together. "We're really flying!" Tinkerbell danced around them in happy circles, and Peter Pan smiled his big, bright smile. "Come," said Peter Pan. "Let's go to Neverland. We must go now. It's a long flight, and we must fly through the night." "We must leave a note for our parents," said Wendy firmly. "They must know we're safe." Wendy wrote a short note to her parents. "Don't worry, Mother," the note said. "We're going to Neverland with Peter Pan. He needs our help, and we'll come home soon. We love you." They opened the window wide. "Think of your happy thoughts," said Peter Pan. "Keep them in your heart. Never stop thinking, and never be afraid. Follow me." Peter Pan flew out the window and up into the night sky. Wendy followed him, then John, then Michael. Tinkerbell flew around them and sparkled with light. They flew over London and out over the dark sea. They left the ground far below. They felt so free. The night air was cool on their faces, and above them the stars were shining bright. "Look down," said Peter Pan. "Look at everything below us." The children looked down. They saw the lights of London and the dark sea. They saw ships on the water. They saw the whole world below them. "This is wonderful," Wendy cried. "This is the best moment of my life." They flew, and the night grew long. Michael felt sleepy, so Peter Pan sang to him and told him stories. The songs kept him awake. "Is Neverland very far?" asked John after a long time. "Not far now," said Peter Pan. "Do you see the bright star? We'll fly to the star, and then we'll fly down. Then you'll see Neverland." They flew toward the star, faster and faster. The night began to fade, and the sun came up slowly. The sky turned pink and gold. Above them, the last stars faded away. Chapter 3. Welcome to Neverland. The children flew through the night sky, and London disappeared far behind them. Below, they saw the dark sea and small islands. The morning light grew brighter and brighter. "There," said Peter Pan, and he pointed down. "There's Neverland." Below them was the most beautiful island in the world. It had green forests, blue lagoons, and tall mountains. There were golden beaches, rivers, and waterfalls. It looked like a picture from a dream. "It's real!" Wendy cried. "Neverland is real! It's so beautiful." "It's the most beautiful place in the world," said Peter Pan. "Everything here is alive. Nothing here grows old. Everything here stays perfect forever." They flew down toward the island. Peter Pan showed them the Lost Boys' forest and the caves along the shore. He showed them the Mermaid Lagoon, where the blue water shone in the morning sun. "Do you see the ship?" Peter Pan asked, and he pointed to a large black ship near the coast. "It belongs to Captain Hook. He's the most dangerous man in Neverland. He's a pirate, and he's my enemy." The ship looked scary and dark. Cannons stuck out from the sides, and the sails were black and torn. "Why is he your enemy?" asked John. "I cut off his hand in a sword fight," said Peter Pan in a cold, hard voice. "A crocodile ate the hand, and now the crocodile follows him everywhere. The crocodile also swallowed a clock. The clock is still inside the crocodile. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Captain Hook hears the clock, and he knows the crocodile is coming. He feels afraid all the time." "How terrible," said Michael. "He's a terrible man," said Peter Pan. "He's evil. He wants to catch me and my friends. We must be careful, and we must be brave." They flew down toward the forest, and Peter Pan showed them a big tree. The tree was very old and very large. Its trunk was wider than a house, and it had 7 small holes in it. "This is our home," said Peter Pan. "We live under this tree, deep in the ground. The lost boys are waiting for us there. They're waiting for a mother." They landed near the tree, and Peter Pan took them to one of the holes in the trunk. It was dark inside, so Peter Pan did not fly down. He went down feet first. "Follow me," he said. "Hold on to the rope." A long rope hung down inside the trunk. The children held on and climbed down and down. It was dark and a little scary. They went deeper and deeper into the ground. Suddenly, light appeared, and they came out in a big underground room. It was very large. It was beautiful. The walls were made of rock and dirt, but pretty things decorated every corner. There were shells and pink coral on the walls. There were paintings on the rocks. Little lights were shining from the high ceiling. Soft blankets lay on the ground, and a warm fire was burning in the fireplace. The whole room felt cosy and comfortable, and there were the lost boys. 8 boys lived in the underground home, and they were all different ages. The oldest was about 14, the youngest was about 6. They stood and looked at Wendy with shy faces. "Lost boys," said Peter Pan. "This is Wendy. She's our new mother. She's a girl who can tell stories and sing songs. She can take care of us and teach us. She's very special." The lost boys clapped and cheered. They were so happy that they jumped up and down. "Hello," they said. "Welcome to Neverland. Welcome to our home." One lost boy came forward. His name was Slightly, and he was brave and friendly. "Will you stay?" he asked Wendy. "Can you stay with us? We don't have a mother, and we need one very much." "Yes," said Wendy. "I'll stay. I'm your mother now, and I love you and I will care for you." Wendy hugged Slightly. The other lost boys gathered around her. They felt so happy to have a mother at last. John and Michael sat down on the soft blankets. They felt tired from the long flight, but they also felt excited. "What do you do here?" asked John. "We play," said Peter Pan. "We hunt, we swim in the lagoon, and we explore the island. We have adventures, and we fight the pirates. We never grow old here. We stay young and happy forever." "But we must be careful," said Slightly. "Captain Hook is dangerous. He hunts us, and we must stay hidden." "Don't worry," said Peter Pan. "I can beat Captain Hook any day. I'm faster and braver, and I'm smarter too. As long as I'm here, you're safe." Peter Pan felt very sure of himself, and Wendy saw it. She did not know about the danger yet. She did not know about Captain Hook and his men. Many adventures were waiting for them, good ones and bad ones. Right now, she was happy. Her brothers were happy, and the lost boys were happy. They had a mother now. Wendy sat down by the fire, and the lost boys gathered around her. They looked at her with wonder. They loved her already. "Tell us a story," said Slightly. "Tell us about the real world. Tell us about London. Tell us about mothers and fathers and families." Wendy began to tell a story, and the lost boys listened very carefully. They loved her voice. They loved her stories. They felt safe with her. Outside, the evening air grew cool, and night fell over Neverland. The stars came out above the mountains and the quiet lagoon. Inside the cosy underground home, the fire was burning warm and bright. Wendy told story after story, and the lost boys never wanted her to stop. Soon their eyes grew heavy, and they felt sleepy. "Sleep now," Wendy said softly. "Tomorrow we'll have more adventures. Tonight, sleep. I'm here, and you're safe. I'll watch over you." One by one, the lost boys fell asleep. They felt warm and comfortable in their cosy beds. They felt loved. Wendy sat by the fire and looked at the sleeping boys. She felt happy and sad at the same time. She was far away from her own mother. These boys needed her, so she had to stay and be their mother now. Chapter 4. The Underground Home. The next morning, Wendy woke up in the underground home. She felt warm and comfortable under the soft blankets. The fire in the fireplace was burning bright, and the little room felt cosy and safe. The lost boys were already awake, and they were sitting around her in a circle. They felt excited. They wanted to see what Wendy would do, and they wanted to learn from their new mother. "Good morning," Wendy said sleepily, and she sat up and looked around. "What a beautiful home you have." "It's not a real home," said Slightly. "A real home has a mother and a father. It has real beds and real furniture. Your home in London is a real home." Wendy felt sad for a moment. She thought about her mother and father in London. Then she pushed the thought away. "This is a real home now," she said firmly. "This is where we live, and this is where we love each other. A home isn't just a place with nice furniture. A home is a place where people care about each other. We're a family now." John came out from his sleeping area. He yawned and stretched. "What can we do today?" he asked. "Peter Pan said we have adventures." "We can do many things," said one of the lost boys. His name was Curly. "We can hunt and fish. We can swim in the lagoon. We can explore the island. And we can fight Captain Hook's pirates." "Fight?" said Michael in a nervous voice. "Is it safe?" "No," said Slightly. "It's not safe, but it's fun. Peter Pan is very brave. He's never afraid, and he always wins." "We must still be careful," said Wendy. "Peter Pan is very brave, but brave isn't the same as silly. We must be smart, and we must plan. We mustn't take silly risks." The lost boys listened to Wendy, and they knew she was right. Peter Pan was brave. Wendy was wise. "First," said Wendy, "we must clean this home. We must make it neat and organised. We must make it a proper home." The lost boys looked surprised because they never thought about cleaning before. Peter Pan never thought about such things. Wendy was a mother, and mothers cared about such things. "We need food," said Wendy. "Do we have food?" "Peter Pan brings us food sometimes," said Curly, "or we hunt animals, or we eat fruit from the trees." "It's not healthy," said Wendy. "We need fresh vegetables and milk and bread." We need a proper kitchen with a stove. She looked around the underground home and began to plan. In her mind, she saw how to make everything better. We can build a kitchen area with a stove, she said. We can make shelves for our things, and we can organise everything. John, you and Michael can help me. Lost boys, you can clean the sleeping areas. For the next week, the children worked hard and made the underground home better. They built shelves and simple furniture from wood. They organised their things and cleaned every corner, from the floor to the ceiling. They put shells and coral on the new shelves. Old toys no longer lay scattered on the floor. Wendy organised the kitchen shelves herself. She taught the lost boys how to keep a home clean. She taught them how to make their beds properly and how to cook simple foods. John helped her build the small kitchen. They used big rocks to make a stove and flat stones to make a table. Michael helped too. He was small, so he fit into small spaces easily, just like the holes in the tree trunk. Slightly and the other lost boys learned quickly. They felt proud of their home and its new furniture. They felt proud of their family. One night, Wendy sat with all the boys around the fire. A pot of soup was cooking slowly on the stove, and everyone ate a proper meal and felt satisfied. "Tell us about your mother," said Slightly. "Tell us about life in London. Tell us what mothers do." Wendy thought about her own mother. She missed her very much. But she also loved these boys, and they felt like her family now. "My mother," said Wendy slowly, "is the most important person in my life. She loves me and my brothers more than anything. She takes care of us and helps us when we feel sad. She teaches us, she sings to us, and she tells us stories before bed." "You do all these things," said Curly. "You're like our mother." "Yes," said Wendy. "I'm your mother now, and I love you all very much." The boys felt happy. They gathered around Wendy. They felt safe and loved. John sat quietly by the fire and thought about his own mother in London. He felt worried. He felt a little uncomfortable inside. He wanted to go home. But he also loved Neverland, the adventures, and Peter Pan. "John," said Wendy, "what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking about home," John said. "I'm thinking about Mother and Father. Do they worry about us?" "I'm sure they do," said Wendy. "But we're safe here. Peter Pan takes care of us, and I take care of you. We're a family." Deep inside, Wendy also felt worried. She did not know what danger was waiting on the island. She did not know about Captain Hook's evil plans. Danger was very close. Michael felt sleepy, so he sat next to Wendy. She put her arm around him and held him close. "When are we going home?" Michael asked. Wendy did not answer. She did not know. She did not want to think about it. Right now, Neverland was her home. These boys were her family, and this moment was enough. The fire burned lower, and the boys fell asleep one by one. Wendy stayed awake and watched over them. She felt like a real mother now. At last, Wendy fell asleep too. She did not know about the coming danger, and she thought everyone was safe. Nothing stays simple in Neverland, and nothing stays safe. Neverland is not just magic and fun, it is also dark and dangerous. Soon Wendy will learn this, and soon Peter Pan will fight for his life. Chapter 5. Captain Hook's Plan. Captain Hook was sitting on the deck of his pirate ship. He was looking at the dark island of Neverland, and his hook hand shone in the moonlight. He felt angry and full of hate. He thought only about revenge. "The boy," he said to Smee. "The boy took my hand. He took everything from me. I must catch him, and I must make him pay." Smee, the first officer, was a big man with a red face and a nervous smile. "Master," Smee said nervously, "Peter Pan is very fast, and he can fly. How can we catch him?" "We must use a trick," said Captain Hook. "We can't fight him directly. We must catch his friends first. Then Peter Pan will come to save them, and we'll catch him too." He smiled an evil smile. His voice was cold and mean. "I have a plan," Hook said slowly. "A very good plan. The Lost Boys must have a home somewhere. We must find it and attack it." "How do we find it, Master?" asked Smee. "We'll follow the boy," said Hook. "We'll watch him every day. We'll learn his habits, and we'll learn where he goes. Sooner or later, he'll show us the way to his home." Captain Hook looked at the dark forest with a deep frown. He thought about Peter Pan. He thought about his sweet revenge. In the underground home, Wendy told stories to the Lost Boys. The children were sitting around the warm fire, and they listened carefully to every word. "Tell us more," said Slightly. "Tell us about fathers and brothers. Tell us about families in London." Wendy told them story after story about her father, about school, and about the city of London. The Lost Boys listened with great interest. One afternoon, Peter Pan came home, and he looked angry and tired. "What is wrong?" asked Wendy when she saw his face. "I saw the pirates," said Peter Pan. "They're hunting us, and they're watching us. Captain Hook is planning something. I can feel it." Wendy felt worried and asked, "What can we do?" "Nothing," said Peter Pan. "We can only be careful and stay hidden. We must watch and wait." Hook was very clever, and soon he discovered something important. He found out about Slightly, the lost boy who loved music. Slightly liked to play his pipes outside the home. One day, Smee followed Slightly deep into the forest. Slightly was playing his pipes and making beautiful music, and he did not know that the first officer was near. Smee watched carefully from behind a bush. He saw Slightly go down into a hole in a big tree trunk. A rope hung inside the hole. Smee smiled a big, happy smile because he found the secret entrance to the home. "Master!" Smee shouted back on the ship. "I found it! I found the home! The entrance is under a big tree!" Captain Hook felt very happy. "Excellent," he said. "Now we can attack. But first, we must weaken them, because sleeping children can't fight. We'll capture them easily, one by one." He called his cook to the deck, a mean little man with dirty hands. "Make me some cakes," Hook ordered. "Make them sweet and pretty. Then put poison in them. Put a special liquid in the middle. This liquid makes people sleep for many hours." The cook made the cakes and put the dark liquid inside each one. The cakes looked beautiful and delicious, but they were also deadly. Hook looked at them and felt satisfied. The plan was simple and evil. "Now," said Captain Hook, "we must get these cakes to the children. The poison will make them sleep, and then we'll take them from their home. Peter Pan will come to save them, and we'll catch him." Smee felt nervous about the plan. "Master," he said, "is this not evil?" "Yes," said Captain Hook, "it's very evil. Peter Pan is my enemy, and he must pay. This is my revenge." The next morning, Smee crept close to the big tree. He left packages of poisoned cakes near the secret entrance. He put them in an open place, easy for the children to find. Then he hid behind the dark trees and watched the entrance. Soon, Slightly found the packages by the entrance. He felt curious, so he opened one and smelled the cakes. "Cakes!" he shouted. "Beautiful cakes from the forest!" Then something made him stop. A strange feeling came over him. The smell was not quite right, and the cakes looked too perfect, too beautiful. Slightly remembered something important. Peter Pan warned him many times about the pirates. He warned him about poison, and he warned him about tricks. "Wait," said Slightly slowly. "I must check. I must be careful. Maybe this is a pirate trick. If Hook made these cakes, they're dangerous." He put a tiny piece of cake on the ground. A small mouse came down from the rocks. It smelled the cake and took a very small bite. The mouse fell down immediately and did not move. It was not alive anymore. "Poison!" Slightly cried out. "The cakes have poison! The pirates want to hurt us!" His face went pale. He ran inside to tell Peter Pan and Wendy about the cakes. He showed them the dead mouse. Peter Pan's face became very serious. "Captain Hook," he said coldly. "He wants to kill us with poison now. He's truly evil." Wendy felt afraid, and she tried to stay calm. "What do we do now?" she asked. "We'll get ready," said Peter Pan. "We'll prepare for battle. Captain Hook knows about our home now. He'll come here to catch us, and I must be ready to fight him." He looked at his friends. His face was hard and cold. "The time is here," he said. "We must fight the pirates. We must fight for Neverland, and we must fight for our home." The Lost Boys felt scared, and they also felt brave. Peter Pan was their leader, and they trusted him. They had to follow him into battle. Wendy gathered the boys around her. "We're a family," she said firmly. "We stand together and we fight together. We're brave and we're strong." In the evening, the boys hid the entrance with leaves and branches. They gathered their weapons, put away the food from the stove, and made the underground home ready. Then they waited in the quiet dark. Outside, darkness fell on Neverland. Captain Hook stood on his ship and gave orders to his men. He told them to clean their swords and get the ropes ready. Then he waited in the cool evening air. His revenge was close now. Chapter 6. The Pirate Attack. Slightly ran into the underground home as fast as possible. He was out of breath from running, and his face was pale and worried. "Peter!" he shouted. "Danger! The poison trick failed, so Hook is coming. He wants to attack us." Peter Pan stood up immediately. His face became hard and serious. He looked at his friends. "Everyone, listen," he said loudly. "Gather all weapons. Take your swords and your knives. Get ready for battle." The Lost Boys jumped up and ran to get their weapons. They felt scared, but they also felt brave, because Peter Pan was their leader. "When will he attack?" asked Wendy in a quiet voice. "Soon," said Peter Pan. "Very soon. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. He wanted to weaken us first with the poison, and his trick failed. Now he's coming with swords." John picked up a wooden sword. Michael picked up a small knife. All the Lost Boys got their weapons ready for the fight. "We must make a plan," said Wendy. "We must be smart, not just brave." Peter Pan nodded and said, "You're right. We must plan carefully." They sat together in the underground home, made a plan, and chose where to fight. They put guards at the entrance. Then they made hiding places in the forest. "The pirates can't fit in our home," said Slightly. "They're too big, and they can't come down the rope. We have an advantage here." "But they can trap us inside," said John. "If they wait outside the entrance, they can starve us." "Then we mustn't stay here," said Peter Pan. "We'll go out and fight them in the forest. We know every tree and every rock. Outside, the advantage is ours too." Late in the night, they heard a loud bang, then another bang. The pirates were firing their cannons at the trees. "They're here!" shouted Peter Pan. "The attack starts now. Come!" The children ran out of the underground home and into the dark forest. Out on the water, the pirate ship sat near the shore. Cannons fired again and again. Trees fell down. The ground shook. "Spread out!" shouted Peter Pan. "Hide! Wait for my signal!" The lost boys scattered into the forest, hid behind trees and rocks, and waited quietly. The pirates landed on the beach with swords and guns. Captain Hook stood at the front with an angry, evil face, and his hook hand flashed in the moonlight. "Find them!" he ordered. "Find the lost boys! Find Peter Pan! Bring them all to me!" The pirates ran into the forest with burning torches. The torchlight danced on the trees and rocks. The men felt uncomfortable in the dark, strange forest. They were sailors, not forest hunters. Peter Pan waited quietly for the right moment. Then he jumped out from behind a rock. "Here I am!" he shouted. "I'm Peter Pan!" The pirates turned and saw him standing there. They charged at him with their swords. Peter Pan was too fast for them. He flew up into the air, and the pirates' swords cut only the air. In the air, the advantage was his. They hit nothing. "Attack them now!" shouted Peter Pan from the air. The lost boys jumped out from their hiding places and attacked the pirates. The forest filled with noise and chaos. Swords crashed, men shouted, and children shouted back. In the chaos, the pirates dropped 2 torches. The torches went out in the dirt. One big pirate ran at Michael. Michael was small and afraid, but he was also brave. He swung his knife at the pirate, and the pirate fell down. John fought 2 pirates at once. He was clever, so he made them fight each other. They became confused, and John pushed them down. Slightly fought with his own special skill. He ran between the trees and confused the pirates. The men ran in circles. He hit them from behind, and he hit them from the side. The pirates did not know where to look, and no pirate matched his speed between the trees. Wendy stayed at the back of the fight, helped the hurt children, and gave them courage. "Be brave," she called. "Be strong." Captain Hook was watching from a distance, and his face grew pale with anger. His men were in trouble. A group of children was beating his pirates on every side, and Peter Pan was laughing at them from the air. "Cowards!" he shouted at his men. "You fight like babies. Let me fight the boy myself." He walked forward and looked straight at Peter Pan. His hook hand caught the torchlight. "Boy," he said coldly, "this time we fight. This time one of us dies." Peter Pan flew down to face him, and the 2 enemies looked at each other. The pirates stopped fighting. The lost boys stopped too, and everyone watched and waited. "You took my hand," said Captain Hook. His voice was full of hate. "You're evil," said Peter Pan. "You must pay for everything." They began to fight, and their swords crashed together with a loud and terrible sound. Hook was very strong. Peter Pan was very fast. They fought and fought. The pirates and the lost boys watched in silence. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. And the only sound was the crash of swords. For a long time, Neither one beat the other. They were equally matched. Strength matched speed, and hate matched courage. Then Peter Pan saw an opening in the fight. He moved at exactly the right moment, and he struck with his sword. Captain Hook fell down, and his sword dropped from his hand. He felt a sharp pain in his arm. His pale face turned even whiter. "No!" he screamed. "No! You beat me!" He scrambled backward and tried to get away from the boy. Peter Pan moved toward him. Hook ran back to the beach, and his pirates followed him in a wild retreat. "Retreat!" Hook shouted to his men. "Back to the ship!" The retreat turned into chaos. The pirates scattered across the beach and jumped into their boats. They rowed back to the ship as fast as possible. Captain Hook jumped into the last boat. He looked back at Peter Pan with hate in his eyes. "This isn't the end," he shouted. "I'll come back. I have more men and more weapons. You can't win forever." The boats reached the ship, and the pirates pulled them up. Slowly, the ship turned around and sailed away from the shore. The lost boys cheered and danced together on the beach. Peter Pan stood very still and watched the ship disappear into the darkness. His face was hard. His eyes were cold. "He'll come back," Peter Pan said to Wendy. "He always comes back. Next time, I'll be ready for him. Next time, he won't escape." Wendy looked at Peter Pan and felt a little afraid. At that moment, he did not look like a boy. He looked like a warrior, and he looked dangerous, even to her. The sun came up slowly over Neverland. The battle was over, and the pirates were gone in full retreat. But the war was not finished. The war between Peter Pan and Captain Hook never ends. Chapter 7. The Fight on the Ship. The pirates sailed away and stopped near the dark side of the island. After the retreat, Captain Hook sat in his cabin and looked at his hurt arm. He wanted revenge more than anything. He was not finished. He felt a cold rage inside, and it grew stronger every hour. He made a new plan. "Smee," he said coldly. "We must get the boy onto my ship. Here the advantage is mine. I know every corner of this ship, and I have years of experience in battle." "Yes, Master," said Smee nervously. "How do we catch him? He's very fast, and he can fly." "He'll come to me," said Hook. "He's brave, and he always tries to save people. We'll catch his friends and bring them to the ship. Then he'll have to come." Hook sent some pirates back to the island at night. They took Wendy, John, and Michael by force. The lost boys tried to fight, but there were too many pirates. The pirates carried Wendy and her brothers to the ship and locked them in a dark cabin. Peter Pan heard the news, and a terrible rage filled him. It burned like fire in his heart. "I'm going after them," he said. "I'm going to the ship, and I'm going to get them back." "No," said Slightly. "It's a trap. It's exactly what Hook wants." "I don't care," said Peter Pan. "They're my friends, and I must save them." He flew across the dark water to the ship and landed softly on the deck. The deck was dark and empty, and the ship was silent. 2 torches were burning by the mainsail, and their light made strange shadows. Then Hook stepped out of the shadows with a satisfied smile. His hook hand shone in the dim torchlight. "I expected you," Hook said with a satisfied voice. "Welcome to my ship, boy." They drew their swords and began to fight. The sound of metal on metal filled the night air. They fought up and down the deck, from one end of the ship to the other. Hook was very strong, and his sword was fast. Peter Pan was faster. He was smaller and quicker, and he moved like lightning. They fought near the sails, then near the cannons. Sword matched sword in the dark. They fought across the whole ship, and neither one beat the other easily. Experience fought against speed. Hook had the experience of 100 battles, and Peter Pan had the speed of a bird. "You're good," said Hook as they fought, "but I'm older and stronger. I have more experience, boy." "You're evil," said Peter Pan. "Evil makes you weak." They fought harder and harder, and the ship rocked back and forth. Below them, the sea was dark and cold. Inside the locked cabin, Wendy, John, and Michael sat in darkness. They could hear the fight above their heads. Sword hit sword, boots crashed on the deck, and men shouted. Dust fell from the cabin ceiling with every crash. "Peter Pan is up there," said John. "He's fighting Hook alone. We must help him." They pushed the door together, but it was locked well. They could not get out. They waited and listened to the chaos above. On the deck, Peter Pan and Captain Hook fought on. The sun set behind the island, and the sky turned red and gold and purple. The light slowly faded. It was beautiful and sad at once. Peter Pan began to wear Hook down. He was too fast and too young, and he never got tired. The long fight weakened Hook more and more, and his movements became slower. His advantage faded away. "I'm finished," Hook said in a weak voice. "I can't beat you, boy. You win." Hook was lying. He was not finished. He was only waiting for his chance, like a snake in the grass. Peter Pan stepped forward for the final blow and raised his sword. Then Hook moved. He moved like a snake, full of rage, and his deadly hook flew toward Peter Pan's heart. Peter Pan saw it coming at the last moment. He jumped back, and the hook missed him by only a little bit. Then Peter Pan made his move with terrible speed. Hook did not see it. The sword came down, and Hook fell. Hook did not die from the sword. He fell backward, toward the edge of the ship. He fell toward the dark sea, and he splashed into the cold water. Below the surface, the crocodile was waiting. The crocodile with the clock in its stomach heard the splash. It swam toward Hook, and Hook saw it coming. His pale face went white, and his eyes grew wide with fear. "No!" he screamed. "No! Save me!" Nobody saved him, and the crocodile came closer and closer. Then there was one loud splash, and Captain Hook was gone. The crocodile dived back down into the dark water. It felt satisfied at last. It finally caught the man that it followed for many long years. Peter Pan stood on the deck and looked at the empty sea. Captain Hook was gone, and the greatest threat to Neverland was gone forever. The pirates on the ship slowly realized what happened. Captain Hook was dead. They felt confused and afraid. Without Hook, they did not know what to do. Peter Pan walked to the cabin and opened the door. Wendy, John, and Michael ran out, free at last. "You're safe now," said Peter Pan. "Hook is gone, and he can't hurt you anymore. He's dead." Wendy looked at Peter Pan and saw the coldness in his eyes. She saw the hardness of battle on his face. "What happened?" she asked quietly. "He fell," said Peter Pan simply. The crocodile took him. He's gone. The pirates looked at each other for a long moment. Then they walked to Peter Pan and bowed. One after another, the big men bowed low to the small boy. "Sir," said one pirate, "Captain Hook is gone, and you're the strongest now. You're our new captain. What do you want us to do?" Peter Pan felt surprised, because he never thought about being a captain before. "I don't want to be a pirate," he said. "I need this ship, and I need your help." "Yes, sir," said the pirate, and he bowed again. The pirates bowed their heads to their new captain. The pirate ship had a new captain now, and the captain was a boy. Night fell over Neverland, and the ship was floating quietly under the stars. A cool wind came over the water. In the cabin below, Wendy sat with John and Michael. They were safe and alive, and they were free. Captain Hook was gone. Wendy felt strange inside. Slowly, she realised something. Peter Pan changed today, and she saw it more every minute. He was not just a playful boy anymore. In battle, he became something different, something darker and more dangerous. She looked at the stars through the little cabin window. She thought about her home in London, about her mother, and about her own warm bed. Maybe it was time to go home. Chapter 8. Home Again. After Captain Hook died, everything changed in Neverland. The pirates became sailors, the danger was gone, and the island felt peaceful again. For 2 months, the children lived on the pirate ship. They sailed around Neverland and explored new parts of the island. They swam in the lagoon and climbed the sea cliffs. The lost boys laughed and played and lived like real boys. But Wendy felt different. Every night she looked at the stars and thought about her home, her mother, and her father in London. One night, she talked to Peter Pan on the quiet deck. "Peter," she said, "I want to go home. I want to go back to London." Peter Pan felt shocked. "You're happy here," he said. "Neverland is beautiful, and you have adventures and friends here." "I know," said Wendy, "but I'm growing up. In Neverland, nobody grows up. I must grow up. I must live a real life." "You can stay young here with me," said Peter Pan. "You never get old here." "I must change," said Wendy. "Change is part of being alive. One day I'll have a family of my own." Peter Pan felt sad, and he hesitated for a long time. He did not want Wendy to leave. In the end, even he understood. Some things cannot stay the same. "The lost boys," said Wendy. "What about them? They need a mother." "Maybe another girl can come one day," said Peter Pan, "and be their mother." Wendy felt sad about this, because she loved the lost boys and they loved her. She did not want to leave them, and she knew she had to. "I can take you home on the ship," said Peter Pan slowly. "It's a long voyage over the sea. I'll bring John and Michael too. But I can't stay with you in London. Neverland is my home." "I know," said Wendy. They prepared for the voyage, and the lost boys gathered around with sad faces. "Are you going away?" asked Slightly in a small voice. "Yes," said Wendy. She knelt down and hugged him. "I must go home. I love you all very much. I love you like my own children." "Will you come back?" asked another lost boy. Wendy hesitated before she answered. "No," said Wendy. "But you're very special to me. You made me very happy." She knelt and hugged all of them, one by one, held them close, and felt her heart break a little. "Take care of each other," she said. "Be brave, be kind, and be a family." Peter Pan and Smee prepared the ship for the long voyage. Smee was a different man now. He was not a pirate anymore. He was a good sailor. "I'm sorry for all the bad things I did," said Smee, and he bowed his head. "You're a good man now," said Peter Pan. "Nothing else matters." The ship sailed away from Neverland, past the tall cliffs of the island and out to the open sea. Wendy watched the green island grow smaller and smaller. The mountains faded slowly into the sea. The voyage took many days and many nights. Wendy stood on the deck for hours. She felt happy and sad at once. John and Michael played with the sailors and felt excited. One morning, they finally saw land. It was England. The ship sailed toward the shore, and the white cliffs shone in the morning light. "Look at the cliffs," said John happily. "The white cliffs mean we're home," said Wendy with a happy smile. They sailed up the river toward the city. They saw buildings, boats, and people. The long voyage was over. They were home. In the evening, Peter Pan flew with the children to the nursery window. It was the same window where the whole adventure began. Mrs. Darling was sitting alone in the nursery, in the same chair as every night. She was still hoping and waiting for her children. When she saw them, she cried out in joy. She ran to them and hugged them close. "Wendy, John, Michael, you're home! You're alive and safe!" She held them for a long time and cried with happiness. Mr. Darling came running up the stairs. He knelt down and hugged his children very hard. The nursery looked the same as before, with the same beds and the same furniture. "Where were you?" he asked. "We thought you were gone forever." "We were in Neverland," said Wendy. "It was wonderful and terrible at the same time." Nana ran in and barked with joy. She jumped up and licked their faces. The whole family was together again in the warm, cosy nursery. Peter Pan stayed outside at the window. He watched the family. He saw the love and the happiness, and he felt something strange in his heart. For a moment, he hesitated at the window and thought about staying. He thought about growing up and having a real family. Then he remembered. He did not grow old. He was not like other people. He belonged in Neverland. He turned away, and Wendy saw him go. She ran to the window. "Wait," she called. "Peter, don't go." "I must," he said sadly. "I'm a boy forever. I never grow up. Neverland needs me." "Come and see us sometimes," said Wendy. "I promise," said Peter Pan. "I'll come and visit you." Peter Pan flew away into the night sky, back to Neverland and the Lost Boys. He was free, and he was alone. Years passed, and Wendy grew up. She had her own family and her own daughter. Her daughter's name was Jane. She was a girl who was curious and clever, with a big imagination, just like her mother. Wendy told her all about Neverland, and Jane loved every story. Wendy's house was always neat and organised, just like the underground home long ago. In a drawer by the window, Wendy kept a small pink shell from the lagoon in Neverland. One night, Wendy's daughter heard a noise at the window of the old nursery. A boy with bright eyes and green clothes flew inside. A small light came with him. It was Tinkerbell. Jane realised her mother's stories were true. "Hello," said the boy. "Are you Wendy?" "No," said the girl. "I'm Jane. Wendy is my mother." "Your mother?" asked the boy with surprise. He looked confused for a moment. "Yes," said Jane. "She told me about you and about Neverland. She remembers everything. Her memories of the magic never faded." The boy smiled his bright smile. "Come with me to Neverland," he said. "I'll show you the island, and I'll take you on adventures." Jane hesitated for a moment, just like her mother hesitated many years before. Then she thought of her mother's stories and all the magic and imagination in them. "Yes," she said, "I'll come with you." They flew out the window and up into the night sky, toward the second star. Below them, Wendy heard the sound and smiled in her sleep, and so the story continues, generation after generation. In every generation, a child flies to Neverland and has wonderful adventures. In every generation, the child grows up and comes home. One day, Jane will have a daughter too, and the story will begin again. Only Peter Pan stays young forever, and he waits for the next child. Neverland lives in the imagination of every child. The magic of Neverland never ends, and the magic of imagination never ends. This is the story of Peter Pan, a story of adventure, magic, and imagination. Children love it in every generation, and children love it forever.